Hey, welcome back, y'all. So look, I'm not gonna lie, I have been batch recording and I have not been on here in a minute because I had like a whole catalog of episodes. So I'm excited to be recording again and just be back in the mix. It's been about 3 weeks of taking a break because life be moving real quick. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brittany Raji Alberti. I am the founder of Rich Mamas Club. I'm an award-winning consultant, now Amazon best-selling author. That happened since I've been gone, and a TEDx speaker. Super excited to be sitting down with Miss Ashley Harmon of the Bougie Beer Mom. Love following her online, and she also owns I want to say it's a beer hub. I don't want to say it wrong, but it's a location called Chillax. Welcome, Miss
Mm.
Ashley. Okay, tell me what is Chillax more of like a lounge? Because the reason I haven't big is I have my child all the time, and I don't want to mess with the grown and sexy vibe.
Well, Chillax, our first location is a craft beer tap room, and we started our first one like 9 days after COVID out in Wentzville. So it's craft beer, but then we kind of switched it over to a hangout where you can have great drinks with food, people, play games. It's kid friendly because I was an elementary school teacher, so we're kid friendly year round. Anytime you can bring in kids, but our main focus, like our claim to fame, was craft beer.
Okay, okay. All right, so craft beer. Heard great things online. I think you're hosting the STL Business Besties soon. When this comes back out, it'll probably be past. But yeah, okay. So here's what I've read about you because y'all, some of the people that come on the show, I'm getting to know in real time with you, and then other people are like friends and people that I've connected with. But I'm excited to be having this conversation in real time. So look, in full transparency, y'all, I'm not gonna play like I know all of her business. I'm just gonna tell you from what I see online. You're originally from Tampa. You're a mom. I see you're
Mhm.
very crafty. I seen your wallpaper project and all of the things. So, well, out of all of the things, what's something I can't look up online? Tell me, who is Miss Ashley?
Ooh, what you can't look up online. I don't know because everything has been online with me. One thing you cannot look up is so me and my husband and I we've known each other since I was 13 and he was 16. So we both grew up
Mhm.
in Tampa, Florida. So we have known each other since childhood. Now we haven't been together since childhood, but we've known each other since childhood. So it wasn't like we met in St. Louis. We relocated to St. Louis for his position, for his job. I want to say 14 years ago.
So you've been here for a minute. You've been here for a minute. Okay.
I have. I
So
have.
originally from Tampa, and Tampa's like really been resurfacing and getting some shine, like with a lot of the developments and everything that's going on. So
Mhm.
how is
Yes.
it for you now seeing like your hometown really like flourish and you're here? Not saying that we're not flourishing. I think we have great things
Right.
going on. How does that
Um,
feel?
I absolutely love it. Tampa is a great city. We are definitely a sports town, and I just love to see like people that I went to high school with. Everyone is thriving in their businesses. I have a couple of girlfriends who own a couple of restaurants and a couple of bars downtown in Ybor City. So it's great seeing it thrive the way that it is. And people have to realize Florida is like a multicultural melting pot. So I mean, we
Mhm.
have such a diverse community there in every pocket of area. So just to show that shine over there, I absolutely love it.
I'm here for it. I have not been to Tampa. I've been to Daytona, Miami, and Jacksonville, but I have not been to Tampa. But it's on my list now. Just seeing all of the, especially like with real estate now, like everything is really like maneuvering very well in Tampa. So shout out to y'all, Tampa
It's a
Bay
perfect
people.
middle ground. Yeah.
Say that
Oh yeah,
again.
it's a perfect middle ground because like we're in between Orlando and Miami. So as far as like cost value is that Tampa's like that good sweet spot where you can still have the beach life, you can still get great weather, but you're not paying like high property costs. Like you would in Orlando where you
Mm,
have Disney World and all those attractions, and then you have Miami, which Miami is Miami. It's gonna always be Miami. So those costs are always gonna be the same. But Tampa's that good middle ground because we're 4 hours from Miami, and I want to say we are like 45 minutes from my area in Brandon. We're like 45 minutes from Orlando.
Oh, good to know. Okay, I remember where was I? And they kept saying I could fly into Tampa and drive down, but I was like, I'm not gonna do that traffic. I used to live in
Yeah.
California, and I already know popular cities with multiple airports in close proximity. It's probably just better just flying in and doing your thing because Yeah, I hate.
Well, California is its own monster now. Yeah, Tampa might be a little bit easier because no, y'all are gangster there. Nah, it's gangster. Traffic is gangster. I'm not ready. It's like Atlanta traffic because Atlanta traffic is real gangster. California traffic is too.
I agree. I agree. It's nothing like those major, but okay, so here's the flip side to that. And we're gonna get into like some mommy stuff, but since we into like economic development and just knowing how the world works, cities like Atlanta and like California where they have these hubs typically have had some type of innovation there that makes them like a popular place to want to go and move to. So, what's your take on like now? One, because you're a business owner and you're in like the most popular, well, actually, it's the highest grossing, what is the name of it? City or metropolitan out of the St. Louis Metro, St. Charles. Like you're in the most populous area right now. How does that,
Hmm.
what's your take on just one relocating to areas that are now because coming into St. Charles is like it's starting to feel like old school Atlanta. Like that bridge is getting a little packed.
I always tell people all the time who are scared to cross that bridge. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's more popping out here than what you think. And we like live in Winsville, so we're further out.
Oh.
And I mean, you look at how the city's developing, but then you also look at what is the city missing, right? So when you're driving through these little areas, you're like, well, dang, they don't have this here, they don't have that here, they don't have this here. So like, what can we collectively bring? And then you also have to know your target audience. Okay. So these are people who work in the city, but they want to play where they live. And, we have a family. So we want somewhere where we can go around the corner and up the street and get everything that we need to get done in one fell swoop. So it's also looking for that convenience for people too. So that was our goal with the Chillax with St. Peter's. It was bringing a city vibe to the county to where if you don't want to have to drive, drink, and have a good time, you don't have to drive 45 minutes to get there. It can be right around the corner from your house. And you still get that same vibe as if you were in the city.
I gotta come see it now, y'all. Like, look, spanking that I have not seen the space yet because I've only heard great things. Like, so you guys have craft beer? I just think you guys were partnering with the Vail Brothers for chicken. Yeah, no.
So what we did was, so with our first location, we just did beer. So in the craft beer community, every brewery that you go to, they'll have their tap situation, they'll have their cocktails, and then they'll have someone in the kitchen. And it'll always be a separate business. It'll always be a separate restaurant. So what we did with the second location, we sent out blanket emails to different restaurant owners. And we just set up blanket means we had no prior relationship to the Vales family or anything. We sent them a blanket. It's almost like a shoot your shot type of moment. And we
Mm.
set up a whole presentation and we just said, hey, what do you guys think about this? And they were ready. They were ready for the opportunity because when we purchased the property, we were like, okay, we want to get somebody different here that this area has not been exposed to. So who can we break through this area that nobody has tried before, or just is like, well, shoot, I've never gone down to the city like that to even try and go on Del Mar Loop or go on the Grove. So that was like our reasoning for doing that. So we're like a big warehouse with two businesses in the inside. So don't think about it like a
Mm.
restaurant where you come in and you have a hostess and you have someone sit. It's very much so seat yourself. You go to your different entities to place your order. And that's how most craft beer breweries are, to where you just go in, you seat yourself, you can put tables together, there's board games to play, but you can patronize both businesses under one roof.
Love that. Love that's actually starting to become more popular now, like with food halls where it's like a little bit of play and mingle. I love that. Okay, so I definitely gotta come because I love their chicken. But it's been a minute because I live in North County, so I'm not far away from you guys. Like I'm right down the highway at 270, going into like the St. Charles area. But I'm at a really sweet spot where I could get to the city in 15 minutes and I could get to St. Charles in 15 minutes. But
Oh, okay,
I'm
well, that's easy.
yeah, yeah. And unless there's traffic, then everything gets the added on bonus.
Then you come
So
after 5 o'clock. Wait till after 5, maybe even like 5:30, because St. Charles is getting so popular now. It's just, ooh, that traffic just going into Lake St. Louis is, mm-mm, you wait.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not even like we were
You
looking for homes and we were thinking about. I'm like, I've been going to St. Charles since I was in college. I loved Main Street when it had its heyday and everything. But I don't think I could.
wait.
I don't want to. I just don't even want to be in the mix of everybody like that. It feels like Florissant. Like Florissant's super popular now. I don't have time.
Mhm.
But okay, so let's get into mommying. So how old are you? Do you have one child, multiple children? So like
We have
what's mommy?
one.
You have one? Okay.
So we have one. Yep, he is 10. He'll actually be 11. It was mommy and is different now because we're here with no family. So you have to think, we started a family with no family. So we don't have the grandmas, the cousins, the aunties, like it was just us. And when we started the business, I want to say little Archie was like 5 or going into kindergarten or in kindergarten.
Mm.
So I mean, we really had to make some adjustments just to the lifestyle and just making sure we still had family time, but then everything else was still running and operating, as they should. But I'm a full like boy mom,
Boy,
hands
mom
down.
to the
He
T,
is a
almost a
100%.
preteen. Wow. Okay. And then you
Yes.
started when he was 5. So I'm really excited. Now I'm gonna shift into picking your brain a little bit because my daughter's 3, but I was an entrepreneur that
Mhm.
became a so I was heavy into this. I'm 9 years into entrepreneurship, third generation entrepreneur. So like putting a child into the mix became like, okay, I need to shift how I operate to now make sure that I'm accommodating her first, right? But you, on the other hand, you were already a mom, like established mom 5 years into the game, and now through
Mhm.
entrepreneurship to it. Like, what was that journey like? Like, okay, how did you even come upon like, okay, we're gonna start a business? What prompted that?
Actually, my husband, it was not my plan to be part of the business whatsoever. Not at
Hmm.
all. I was a teacher. I was an elementary school teacher for 16 years. My husband was a clinical speech pathologist with WashU, and that's why we moved here. So it just got to the point to where he just wanted to do other things. That he just hit his ceiling so quickly at WashU. Like after 10 years, he had already reached his catapult to where he needed something different. He had always brewed beer in college. He always brewed beer for his fraternity. So that's what we know in our household is brewing beer at home. We've always kept taps in the wall and we love that culture anyway. So I think he caught me on a good day and a good night where I said yes. And I said, yes, you can quit your job and we can pursue this. I don't know. It was just on a good day. And
Yeah.
so in the beginning, it was him doing everything, and I was still doing the mommy thing and still working. Like we still like I had our regular everyday schedule, but we just had to start incorporating him a lot. So we would make him like little huts like during construction during our first one. So we would take boxes and make him like for camping, and he would bring his sleeping bag, and we would try to make it fun when we were doing renovations at the end of the night. And we would just try to incorporate him in everything that we did. Like I remember one year he sold like s'mores and brownies outside in the fire pit of the tap room in Winsville. And like that was like his thing is walking around giving everybody brownies and s'mores. So we tried to incorporate him as much as we could, but now that he's older, it's like we have to play that tag, like, okay, tag you it. Okay, this day is family day. This day is pool day. This day is this. So he can still have like a regular, because we don't want him to hate the business. So we have to try to incorporate him into it and
Mm,
be intentional with our time and our schedule.
love that. You just said something super key that when I'm like coaching women and working with women who had like already like they're getting into entrepreneurship and had children and like, well, I want to start. Everyone's like in this whole legacy kick that they want to start family businesses. And what people don't understand is that most of the time our kids want nothing to do with what we want. They have different interests. And then when we try to force it upon them, that's why so many businesses shut down because they're not really interested and you haven't figured out what their strengths and their skill sets are so that they can create their own path within that business. So I love what you said about finding ways to tap in and still giving him a childhood where it's not live, breathe, eat
Mhm.
everything the business. That's super vital. And I hope y'all taking notes on that because look, that's the number one thing when I'm talking to people who
Yes.
are trying to step into entrepreneurship as moms. Like, look, your kid's not gonna want to do everything you want to do. And I'm in the
Right. And
thick of it with this 3-year-old now. Huh?
it's so hard because the business is like your infant baby, right? And then you have another baby. So you technically have like two children. And it's like, okay, you're in the infancy stage with this. So you have to have that tender loving care, but then you also don't want to ignore, your oldest child too. So it was kind of hard to have that balance. I mean, I want to say it took at least like 2 years to get like a good solid hold on like, okay, we stick into the schedule. This is how we're going to work it. This is how we're going to, do it. So it definitely wasn't easy. Mm-mm.
It's not easy, but it's worth it. Like that's my new motto now. Like it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
easy, but it's worth it. Like I one let's talk about the transition. You said it took about 2 years to really kind of find a rhythm where you feel like you were. And I don't believe in balance. Like I'm not a girl who like, oh, you want like people like, how do you balance it? I'm like, I don't. Sometimes this is crazy over here. My
Mm-hmm.
husband
Right.
majority of the home, like he takes care of all of the major things. And like at one point, like I mean, I think that now we're like neck and neck with income, but for a moment while I was trying to figure out how to maneuver into this new stage of entrepreneurship, he had to take care of everything, like and now we're kind of
Mm-hmm.
like figuring out like our new flow. But what was that like for you in that 2 year transition? What were some of the things that were like really key to helping you find your rhythm?
When she was young, he still knew what was going on. So having those conversations with him, you know, like really sitting down and saying, okay, well, how do you feel if, dad is up there during this time and mom is up there during this time? And just, actually getting his opinion on things. And the days where he did not want to go up there, honoring that and honoring says, oh, well, no, mom, I really don't feel like being up there today. And he even started using the word like, mom, I really don't feel like peopling today. So we had to honor and protect his space. And that's when I was like, okay, we really have to like hone in on some things. And it would be some days when I would go from teaching, because I didn't leave teaching until I want to say year 2. So I was doing both. I was working in the tap room at night and then teaching during the day, to where it was like, all right, Ashley, you don't have energy by Saturday or Sunday. Like something has to give. But then that's when you have to trust like your systems and like you really systems and procedures like day one to relieve some of that stress and pressure off of you. Because why are you hiring people to work in your business and don't have systems and procedures to where it's supposed to be okay? So you don't have to be there all the time. So you can make, that family time, or you guys can actually, take him on a family vacation or do something. So it was once I really honed in on that I was like, all right, I'm going to stick to this. Like, this is what we're going to, like, my husband was like, no, you came up with it. We got to stick with it. Stay to it. So once we sat down and we developed a system and procedures for all employees, it was like, all right, now everybody has to work. Like everybody has to work.
Yes. Oh my girl, look, I'm hoping you're gonna be getting into the consulting game if you are not, because she's giving y'all all game. One about systems and processes. Again, I would say that's number 2. That people like one that like trying to hire people and you're bringing people into mess because you haven't figured out
Mm-hmm.
how to document the flow of how you want work
Yeah.
to go. Um, and then I can my personal experience with my grandmother being an entrepreneur, my dad being an entrepreneur, and growing up seeing them actively work in their businesses, I had to learn too that they were actually self-employed and they didn't have like enterprises where other people came and work. Like they worked in their business. Like he owned his own fleet of cats, but he was the only one like, doing the work. So when they got sick or when they were ready to retire, like things, it wasn't a succession plan, right? So my grandmother just passed away
Right.
recently. And when she's been retired majority of my life, but when she retired, she had a great relationship with one of her last clients that ended up paying her retirement for her. So she was good with relationships. But I was like, man, what if Granny would have trained some young folks out here to go and take over the cleaning business? What would that have looked like, and how, like, in pieces of where some of my cousins that don't have the entrepreneurial bug, that jump from job to job, like what would it have looked like where you put something in place where your family could have came
All facts.
and like and sometimes it's that last resort for people, but it could change someone's life. So I really love like you tapping into like, okay, look, we need to have processes and people need to know when they come in here what the culture is, so I don't have to physically be here all the time. You know what? Okay, so
That was
I went to, I don't know if you ever had a traffic sales and profit. They're a business coaching community, and they had Don Peoples come, and he actually built the first black owned hotel in Miami. What was the name of
Mhm.
it? I forget. But basically, he was saying the reason he got into real estate is because he couldn't find a job, and his mother was a realtor, and she was like, "Well, since you can't go find nothing, you're not gonna be doing nothing under this roof." And now he's a billionaire because his mom made him come. She had somewhere to come and bring him. And I'm just really big on, like, you're thinking about what the legacy of your business could be. It might be just giving your child transferable skills where they can go and do their own thing.
Mhm.
I love that. What's something you feel like moms could really instill into their children that are transferable skills, regardless if they want to work in their business, but they can take this and then make something of it?
A transferable skill I would be just communication and being able to work a room, no matter whether you are interested in what is going on, you being able to captivate an audience. You need to captivate an audience just for 30 seconds and you'll get somebody hooked on you, and you can climb mountains with that. People need to realize that first impressions are everything and it sticks with everyone. And just having good relationships with people, on whether or not you get along with them or like them or whatnot, you want to be able to just communicate with them, and you just leave a lasting impression regardless, no matter what. So I think with little Archie, it's always like, you always introduce yourself when you walk into a room. You always say hello to everyone. Everyone is a yes ma'am, no ma'am. If you want to engage in the conversation, do so, and if you don't, you politely decline. So it's just a way of just being able to just communicate with people, and I think that's what a lot of kids are kind of lacking. Even when I was teaching, and I would make, the kids would have to do a speech at the end of the school year. And it was just like, they just had a hard time just speaking their thoughts out, being able to communicate their thoughts. So I just think that's a good transferable, like having your child talk to you. And if they
Mhm.
do get out of pocket or get out of tone, be like, well, hold on, there's a different way that you could have said that. There's a
Yeah.
different way that you could approach. So my son, he's like a negotiator now. He always comes to us with proposals because we always say, don't come to us for an idea. Bring the idea to us and then let me
Yeah.
just say yes or no. So everything is a proposal. But that's
I'm
learning how to
hearing
communicate.
critical thinking too, because now he got to go sit and think through, like, okay, I need them to say yes. So I need to think. That's awesome. Love it. Love it. Look, another gem. I need to just be dropping gems in the chat as you talking. Like, look, y'all, write that down. Write that down. That's amazing. What's been something, maybe you've been here, you've been married for how long now?
Ooh, we just celebrated 13 years.
Okay, so 13 years, 10-year-old, and you've been
Mhm.
here 13 years too. What's maybe like a marriage gem that you have, like being married over a decade, starting a family and starting a business, all those different life transitions? What's something you feel like kept you anchored in your marriage?
Um, Always be willing to hit the restart button. It's okay to restart. And it's because we had never worked together before. So that was a transition for us, right? The roles, kind of changed to where we sat down and had to discuss everything before like triggers were getting pulled. My husband's still like the leader of the household, but it's different now because we're talking business, home. Everything is always, discussed. I mean, we never really talked about wash you business or anything like that because that was his patient privileges and all that other jazz. Work stayed with work. So it was just always trying to hit that reset button. And it's okay because, your tones are going to change, your attitudes are going to change. And y'all have to be okay with that. And you have to be willing to go through that transitional period. But we're definitely like role reversal for sure. And we just had to make some adjustments and make some changes with it. But don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself within your marriage. So
Wow,
I've
wow.
never heard of anybody being married like in a lifetime and you've never reinvented yourself. Like you're not going to be the same person that you were 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Heck, you might not even be the same person you were 2 years ago. And it's okay. You guys have to just be willing to teach each other, like, hey, this is the new me now.
What's been like maybe a transition where you've been reinventing yourself. How did you have that conversation? Like, hey, like I'm not that girl anymore. Like, what was that like?
When wanted to do Bougie Beer Mom, because I was leaving teaching, but I knew I was getting into a man's world. And I kept on saying, I said, Archie, I want to do something so I am not looked at as Archie's wife or, oh, that's the wife. I mean, I don't want to be looked at as that person. I need to know as much as you know. So when it came to beer, it took years for him to teach me the whole beer process, to teach me about the different beers. So if I ever did get challenged in the tap room, I knew what to say and I knew what I was talking about. And so I said, well, I kind of want to do like an online persona. And honestly, I just did Bougie Beer Mom as like a street cred in the beginning, just to say, I know what I'm doing. Right. And we just sat down and had a conversation. I said, I think I'm gonna call it this, and this is what I'm gonna do. And so what do you think? And he was like, okay, cool. If this is something that you want to do, let me teach you this. You need to know this, you need to know this, you need to know this, you need to know that. So I mean, we really had to like sit down and kind of like plan it out together. But then it was also taking in a role of like that's true co-ownership too at the same time, because my signature is just as valuable as his. And we needed to be like a stand in a unit front to show that, because they always look at the male as like that top CEO, which he is the CEO of our company. But you need to realize I'm the COO, that my signature goes with his. So he, just helping build that foundation of the boss just like he is.
I love that. So I'm even like I haven't met your husband before. I've only heard of you. So like one, like you've been really active outside. Like a lot of people like know of Ashley from Chillax, like so you've been really even the chief marketing officer too, putting the word out in the
Hmm.
street. And I love how you said like, okay, look, hey, walk me through this because I don't know. No, I'm lying. I have one other friend who lives in California who has her own signature beer, but like you guys are like 1% in the industry with Black women who have who are even representing craft beer, in that. Um, let's talk
Hmm.
about the bougie beer mom since you brought it up now. So is this like you said it's the online persona, but like is it? I know you kind of do like blogging and lifestyle. So like, what's the overall like I guess synopsis and goal for the bougie beer
Honestly, Bougie Beer Mom was just out here to show that I knew craft beer, because I was in the craft beer industry. That's what it was. And it kind of manifested into POVs of just being a mom, being an entrepreneur, and just that daily life. And it just showed. And honestly, the whole goal is just to show how you can kind of manage and do it all. It might be crazy and hectic some days. It might be days where you have your low points and your high points, but it's just showing that it's still doable. Like everything is still very much so doable. It can be a hot mess sometimes, but it got done. So that is just the goal, is just to show the point of view of being in craft beer. I've shown like our expansion in the business, still trying to make time for us. And then it somehow has those struggle moments on there too, because we all have those all at the same time. So it's my vulnerable space to just share like a day in the life, like my journey through all of this, because this was a train that I didn't know I was getting on. Literally
mom?
didn't know I was getting on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you've like have like I feel like I'm hearing so many different layers of you too, because one, you were a teacher for a while, you married like a childhood friend, moved across the country, became a mom, like you're getting an industry that's, white male dominated, not even people of color that much even in it, in a city that can also have some of that same dynamic. So many different layers. What is like your resilience factor? Like, because I'm sure, like, you hold it well, you look graceful, you're a beautiful woman, but I'm sure it's some days where like ish done hit the fan and you gotta like woosah and remember who you are. So, what is like, that transition of like, okay, like, look, I'm done peopling, as your son would say. What is that like for you? Like, what's
Mhm.
your resilience factor?
Oh man. Um, I honestly think like I always realize that there's light at the end of the tunnel. With every roadblock, I always tell myself, you know what, it has to be light at the end of the tunnel. And I and I listen to my intuition a lot. And if my intuition or my gut is saying, Ashley, this is okay, this is a problem. It's a problem right now, but it's not a problem tomorrow. And I mean, we get that a lot. Like we just went through something that I thought we would have went through like 4 years ago. Somebody left a review for us, but it was a racial directed review that they gave us, and just mentioned that we were Black in the review. It was crazy. And honestly, we were expecting it when we first opened, but not now. And it was kind of like, okay, how do we? I can have my 30 seconds moment, but as moms, as we do, we're fixers. We go in and we handle problems and we handle situations. And it was like, okay, I can be upset about this or I can try to fix this, one or the other. And I think that's just always been me. My mom is very resilient. My sister's very resilient. Like I come from a family of women who just like, man, they don't back down to nothing. Nothing. Like if I were to call my mom and my sister about anything, they're like, okay, we can be sad for about 30 seconds, but what you gonna do? What are we gonna do? I've never been able to sit and like just be swallowed up by something that's not going right in my life. I've just never been able just to sit in that. So, I mean, right now I'm everyone's friend who they call, and I'm just like, all right, we can cry for about 30 seconds. Let's go ahead, let's get it out. We can get that good cry in. We can get that good little drink cocktail in or whatever to let it go. Now, how are we going to problem solve so it won't be like this tomorrow?
Man, there's so many things, right? Like one of my coaches say, you can have a bad moment, but don't let it be a day. Like, to consider it a bad day means to tap out of everything, all other possible considerations that you can rebound from it. So I definitely sit and I'm like, okay, if I gotta have a moment, I have a moment, but I don't let it turn into a whole day. Definitely
Correct.
overstand that. What's like, okay, so we just talked about so many other things. I feel like I don't even want to ask you any more questions. Ashley, what have I not asked you, or what is something like that you want the world to know, just about one, not only entrepreneurship, motherhood, just life in general? What's something that maybe you don't get asked frequently that you would like to tell people to tap into?
Um, I would honestly want people to, let me think. It's just, I want people to just tap into just their inner selves and trust their gut. I think we listen to so many outside noises and we listen to so many people's opinions. And me and my husband, we were having this conversation even before we opened. And he had the idea of doing this, and everybody thought he was crazy. They was like, "Oh, you're crazy leaving your job. You're crazy. You're doing this." And his main thing was like, "Well, if you do it with me, I'm fine. I don't care. We don't care what anybody else has to say. So just tap into your intuition, and then don't be afraid to fail. Like we're not going to be perfect at everything. Like we've had to have some failures to have some successes, because you can't learn any lessons and you can't grow unless you fail.
Okay.
So, mhm. So basically that's I think a lot of people are just scared to fail. They are scared to fail. They are scared that they might be embarrassed by something, but I mean, it is okay. It's okay to fail. It is okay to fail. And it's okay to have a closed, tight knit circle as well. Because when you start growing and you start changing and you get into an entrepreneurial life, your circle is going to change. Your circle is going to develop. Your circle might get smaller, and it's okay. It's totally fine. That's when you just put everybody in subgroups and say, I can talk about this with you, but I cannot talk about this with you. Because everybody's not going to understand, and everybody's not going to understand your journey. And that's fine. It's called hitting the reset button. You can hit the reset button in all aspects of life.
Look, coin that. I think we're gonna have to keep that around here. The reset button. What does the reset button look like? What, like when you hit the reset button, what does that action look like around that, Ashley?
I mean, it could be your appearance. You can just wake up one morning and say, you know what? I don't want to dress like this anymore. I don't want my brand or my image to look like this anymore. So I'm going to revamp and launch it out. Like when we moved over to St. Peter's, it was a completely different revamp. The vibe was different. We do cocktails now. We do regular drinks and liquor and things like that. And it's not just craft beer. We added food. So we looked different. And of course, a little hesitation because we're just known for craft beer. So our older customers, our loyal customers from Wentzville, they were like, wait a minute, this is a little different. This is a lot bigger, but we had to grow. We outgrew where we were, so we had to grow. So we hit that restart button and created something different. When we have our craft beer truck now, so with our mobile unit that we have, like that was a reset button. Now we do cocktails on there. So as hit the reset button on your business, you can do it personally. Our relationship with like our son, and different things that he wants to try and different things that he wants to do. Every time they hit that milestone age range, we're hitting the reset button. What we're allowing them to do. So why don't you do the same thing in life? It's the same exact thing, even with marriage, our reset button, like we have a designated date night, like every week, like we have to make it a point to where, okay, this is the night. Okay, this is our date night. This is what we're doing. So this is our reset button. This is something that we've never like scheduled out time to do, like uninterrupted time. So like now we make a point to do it and you can't interrupt it. Nothing goes in between it. So
good. So good. I'm just taking it all in, Ashley. You are like literally, like I'm telling you, if you ever get into the coaching world, honey, let me know, because I know some people that need to sit at your feet. You are full of just insight, grace. And I just want to give you flowers too, because one, we didn't know each other that well when you registered to come and dialogue. I feel like these podcasts for me, these interviews have been a two-way street, right? Like, so the person comes on, they get to tell some of their story and people get to connect with them. But I also feel like I get fed, like when I'm interviewing people and I'm like, please know I'm taking some notes from your session today. Okay, so as we are coming to our wrap right now, I usually like to ask women what's something that they caught, but it wasn't taught to them. So something, like you just learned in the process of it. And it could be in any area. It could be just in basic life, motherhood, entrepreneurship, but what's something that you caught through life, but it wasn't something that somebody put, hey, A and B, go to C, if that makes sense.
how to be a wife. Literally, I think that it's like, it's totally different from when our parents were growing up. And just the way the world is. And, I had to be comfortable with doing a reset button and changing and revamping things, and not always having it that traditional way that your parents think that everything should be and how everything should work. And like, there's no book to it. Nobody can tell you the right or wrong way to do that. And being able to let that go and just say, well, that might work for you, and that's okay. And say, but this works for me, and standing in what works for me. But at the same time, that self-discovery of learning what works for me in all aspects. I mean, even being a mother, it was like, I was, my mother wasn't here in Florida. So she was like having a nervous breakdown because she was like, oh my God, you have a kid and I'm not there. So I had to learn how to be, a mother from like the ground up. My son came at 31 weeks. I mean, he popped out of half my labor was at home because I just thought I had a stomach ache. I thought I was cramping really bad. So it was, I think, even moving to a different state, just in general, just moving away from friends, family, and people that And I basically had to learn how to be me on my own and do a self-discovery of me, and then be okay with my metamorphoses throughout the year and embrace it, and not be stuck at, oh, but this is what I've always done, and this is who Ashley always is. It's like, well, that's who Ashley was, but then this is Ashley now, but being okay with it.
So good, y'all. Please take a look, run this back. When y'all listen to this episode, you're gonna have to listen to it a few times, because the girl is good. Okay, you're giving me some Iyanla over here, fixing some lives a little bit. Like, rediscover. Look here, I got a whole hashtag. Like, we're gonna do resets and rediscovering and no apology, all of the things. The last thing, I believe there's gonna be a woman who might be where you were 10 years ago, right? Like, she just moved to a new city. She does not have family there. You're from the South. The South has different cultural things than where we are here. What's your advice to that woman who moved to a new city? She doesn't have any immediate family to start building a tribe. Because one thing I'm going to say, you didn't got out here and got connected, right? You didn't got connected. You have your people and they support you. What are you saying to that mom to get outside of her box?
Um, for her to take that opportunity, that if there was a part of her that she didn't like, if there was a part of her that she wanted to, so so it's basically, if there's a part of you that you did not like in your before life and then you move somewhere else where you don't know anybody, you can reinvent yourself. You are introducing them to the new you, right? You are introducing them to, so if you were harsh before and you came real aggressive, bring that softer side out of you and see what you get. See what that reaction is. Don't be afraid to step out of your box. Now you have an opportunity to completely reinvent the person that you are, and you can become a better person with that. So taking all that feedback and whatever you grew up with or whatever you went through college, switch it up, change it. I know when I moved here, everyone was like, "Are you?" My whole thing is like, everyone's like, "Why she's so nice? Like she is just so nice. Like, what is your end game with that?" I said, "Well, I don't have an end game." I said, "I like making friends." I said, "That's just the Southern in me. That's that Southern girl in me. Like we feed you, we make sure you drink good, we make sure you have a good time. I take people for face value. I just take people for face value, and I'm super, super friendly all the time. And that's just always been me. But then when I moved here, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start going natural. I'm gonna start relaxing my hair. I'm gonna start dressing a little different and doing and I was able to reinvent myself in that aspect. So use that opportunity to do that and put yourself out there. It's almost like you want to catch bees with honey, but you got to let people know that you have the honey in the honey pot. They're not gonna know you keep the honey in the honey pot if you keep it all in the hive. You got to get out
Now
there.
we're gonna have some Ashley isms out of this. Girl, I get excited when you talk. That is so good. That is so good. One, I just gotta thank you for stopping by today. Tell people where they can follow you, connect with you, what hours you're open if they're here locally and they want to come check out Chillax. Tell us how we can tap in.
Okay, so you can definitely tap in at Chillax St. Peter's. We are located off of Junkerman and McClay in St. Peter's in St. Charles, Missouri. We are open Tuesday through Sunday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we do live music. We open for lunch at 12. We have brunch every Sunday at 10:30. So we not only do craft beer, we do cocktails as well. We have an event space as well, a dog park. We're family friendly year round, so you don't have to worry about leaving your kids at home. It's definitely a vibe. We do a rotating art gallery wall, so all you local artists, if you want a place to showcase your art, we give you a free art show. We don't take a commission, and we help you sell your art. So everything on the wall is locally done. So we definitely support local. We actually have our food. We share part of our building with Vales Brothers, so they do catering. They have their food truck. You have shrimp, chicken, and fish. So that's another collab. And I will like to add, we're very proud of it. Like my husband and I, we own the building and the property that Chillax sits on, and that's a three. Well, no, our building is about 6,000 square feet with 100 parking spaces. So we are very proud of what we can bring out to the community and what we can show the community. We also have a craft beer mobile unit. So if you want our mobile truck to come, we do cocktails and craft beer and wines, and we bring the Chillax experience to you. So it can be on all social media platforms at Chillax St. Peter's with Bougie Beer Mom. I am on Bougie Beer Mom on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and it's just some fun stuff. And I throw in
Y'all open 9 days before COVID.
Yes, like we saw COVID coming during, renovation, and with my husband still working at the hospital and seeing patients, he knew it was coming, but my head was in the sand. I was like, oh my God, we got to get open. We got to get open. And we were open for a week, and then COVID shut everything down. So we were shut down for an entire week, and then we were deemed essential, but people really weren't coming out. So that's when I turned into the PR marketing person, because we had to cut that out of our budget, and that had to be me. So my husband was like, I need you to figure this out. I'll work on getting the product. I need you to work on getting it out there to the people that were here, because we can't advertise like we usually can. And so that's what we were doing. Like we hustled. We hustled so hard. We ended up getting business of the year. We made We made, what is it? Sauce Magazine, Best New Business List. We made top 3 with that. What else? We made a Power Couple of the Year, like for Deluxe Magazine. Like, we really put in the work, but people just need to know, like, you got to apply pressure to get diamonds. And we were on the gauntlet. We were like the pressure throughout the whole time. So we've definitely had our trials and tribulations with business, but I mean, it's nothing that you can't solve or fix. There's no problem that everybody can be an Olivia Pope, honey. Everybody can.
I just got into my scandal era. Look, I'm late, like just 10 years late, but I'm here for the fixing, honey. Look.
Hey, everybody can be an Olivia. It's either you're going to sit and wallow in it or you're going to fix it. It's one or the other.
Y'all, okay, I'm so full. I'm not going to ask Ashley for anything else, y'all, but I want y'all to connect with her on all of her different platforms. If you're here in the St. Louis metropolitan area, or if you're coming to visit, because y'all be pulling up for conferences and stuff now. We get in our conference era a little bit in the Midwest. So go check out Chillax, y'all. I'm going to also take my own advice now that I know that it's family friendly. And look, my toddler come in, she a little rowdy, but we gonna come and we gonna have a good time.
I'm telling you, I got the magnetic toys there. Since being an elementary school teacher, I know it keeps their attention. So I have 2 huge shelves. And then the outdoor patio has like a Connect 4, cornhole, the dog park area. So if she wants to come and there's puppies out there, she can be entertained with the puppies. So we got it. We got you covered.
Look here, we might be hosting a Rich Mama's Club event there. Like that's how I feel right now, since I know it's family friendly. Y'all, thank you so much for coming in. But hey, if you enjoyed this conversation, the reason I started this podcast is because I have the most amazing relationships, and I realized that I've had a lot of the privileges in my life because I love talking to meeting new people and just connecting and learning things, and I'm always getting game from people like Ashley. So I wanted to give you kind of like what an experience would be like if you came into a community like Rich Mama's Club, the kind of conversations we will have, the game that we get, and really just the gains out of being connected and being connected with people. So if you want to learn more about Rich Mama's Club, watch this and we'll see you on the next episode.
Hey mama, I know you enjoyed this episode. I just wanted to let you know that you should tap into community because you need friends. You deserve to be around people who love, support, and accept you for who you are and can hold your hand along this journey. So check out Rich Mama's Club. Thanks for watching.